Welcome to Talk About Topeka. I'm Chris Schultz. For this episode, we were all set to fly out and have more fun adventures, but the entire city shut down in the wake of the polar vortex. So instead, we just sat in front of the fireplace, which is okay because it's helium, not hydrogen. And we thought back to some of the cool places we've been this past year. Some of the biggest news for the new year is about the progress at Topeka Regional Airport. Folks, it's happening. Right now, you can get a convenient and cost-effective flight direct to the Chicago hub. Just one stop to the rest of the world. And no more driving to KCI. But you don't have to take my word for it. Enjoy our pre-opening tour with Eric Johnson, and we'll see more places after the break. Wow, this place looks great, Eric.
It's changed a little bit.
It has. I flew out when we had Allegiant here, and it was very dated. And I think you guys have done some great work in here.
It was a lot of brown, a lot of orange, a lot of worn out furniture, stained carpet, and we've changed that. Our staff has done a fantastic job, kind of updating everything that we have here.
Sure, a lot of the furniture looks great, and it looks like you guys are getting ready for the folks to come in. They're going to be moving in soon, right?
Yes, we are moving along. It's been quite a challenge because there was so much to do, but we're getting there. And the staff for the airline is here starting to do some training, getting ready for that first flight on January 7th.
I think it's great. You'd been on our show, and this was back when you could make a very vague announcement about the idea of air service coming to Topeka, and it was very exciting at the time, and now we know that United is coming to Topeka. We know a lot of specifics. They're already selling tickets now online, and perhaps one of the coolest things is that Topeka now exists as a destination. If you go to Expedia, and I did today, I went there and tried to buy a ticket for February to go to New York out of Topeka, and we exist as a destination.
We are figuratively, but literally on their map.
Yeah.
If you look at their onboard magazine, Topeka is in there, and I have a copy of that. It was exciting to see. You know, it's been a long time, a lot of talk, a lot of work, but January 7th.
This is really, really exciting. I want to take a look around this place as we're talking here. So we're going to have some terminals in here, or some little check-in desks right here in the terminal, I guess?
United will be at this counter.
Okay.
They still have their contractors that need to come in and prep the counter space behind the counter, do a lot of their office work. But as far as the airport is concerned, the only thing we have to do behind that counter right now is lay some carpet.
Yeah, that's pretty cool. That's pretty cool.
We're getting closer.
Exciting stuff.
Yes, it is.
And this is, of course, a great area to wait. What I think is interesting about whenever I had the opportunity to fly out of Topeka is that you parked right out front, you walked straight in the front door, you walked straight to the counter, and you just hung out for a little bit, and then you went down here and you hopped right on the plane. It cut so much stress out of the picture of suddenly travel didn't become this burdensome thing where you had to figure out how you're going to get to Kansas City and how you're going to get back home, and it was much better.
Absolutely, and that's what we've been talking about. It's all about easy. It's easy parking. It's easy commute. It's easy parking. It's easy walk from the parking lot to the terminal building, and there's no way you can get lost here. You walk in, there's the counter, and check-in is just around the corner.
It's right over here. Let's go back and check this area out over here. So how did you go about getting an airline to come to Topeka?
It was 7 years of considering our options. Really, 6 years of actually working the idea the best we could. And in the last 2 years, having the funds to provide a minimum revenue guarantee to an airline, and that is essential. Small communities, especially small communities that don't have existing service, have to share the risk with the airline in order to make it even an option, even to get them to consider it or talk to you. We have to take a walk in here.
Yeah, let's go check it out.
And this is how easy it will be for the screening operation. You know, as you saw, or as you know, at other large airports, there's times where you're going to have one central screening area and a very long line. Kansas City's not like that. It's broken down in a way that's
By the
fairly
gate.
convenient, but
Sure.
it's still 75 miles away. This is one flight at a time going through here. It's a 50-seat regional jet. We have the TSA equipment already in place. Their staff is already building up to man this operation in the very near future.
Sure.
So it'll be ready to go and go through the screening process here, and then the waiting is within sight. The gate is within sight.
It's right there, yeah.
It's all about easy.
We're looking at 2 arrivals and 2 departures every day.
Yes.
So you can, depart early in the morning. You can depart in the afternoon. It really fits the schedule so that when you're going to be using Chicago as a hub, they've got so many daily flights all over the place that you really don't have a very long layover there.
Chicago was our best hub. The times that we have for departures from here fit very well into the system in Chicago. It couldn't have been better the way it worked out. So we have the 6 a.m. departure, and then we have a 3:14 departure. They fit well into that system. So again, it's all about easy.
Absolutely. I can't tell you how excited I am because I always have to ask friends to drive me to the airport, and then I always feel guilty about it because they've got to turn around and drive right back. So the commute time for someone who's dropping a friend off at the airport and picking them up, they've got to spend 4 hours driving to make that happen for you. And then not to mention the time they have to take off work, they could be in for 6 hours to be able to get you to the airport and back.
Or the option was to pay for it. Pay for your parking there.
Yeah.
Our parking here is going to be very nice.
Yeah.
$5 for as long as you're gone. If you're on a 2-day trip, it costs $5. If you're on a 2-week trip, it costs $5.
I don't even know if you can park your car in Kansas City for $5 at all anywhere. I mean, it doesn't seem like it, folks. I mean, it's really the most convenient way because if you were parking this close to the terminal in Kansas City, you'd be paying $22 a day.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Think about what this place looked like not too long ago. And it's not just about what you see. It's also the fact that you can see it.
Yeah.
The lights in the parking lot, we have those all repaired now. The lights in this terminal building, every bulb has been fixed or replaced. Every piece of the electrical for that has been replaced. The roof has been replaced. There's a huge expense that we didn't see because we did this with our own staff. So all of the carpeting that our staff put in, now we didn't do the upholstery, but we tore down the seats, dismantled, sent them off. They were reupholstered. We brought them back and reassembled and placed them here. All the painting, that was our maintenance staff that completed that as well. So
really good.
we saved a lot with our maintenance staff being able to do this work, and it's a fantastic job.
Now, aside from me and anybody else being able to get a ticket here and fly off and that obvious convenience, what does this airport do for Topeka? How does it help us as a community to grow?
Well, you look at travel and tourism. This is now, as you said before, a destination. You can get here. It's not a stop in Kansas City in a rental car for that 75-mile drive. You can fly directly here, which will make the travel a little easier. Once you're here, you fly in on United, you'll have a rental car available here. All of this helps our economy. If you think about all of our Topeka residents or the Topeka area residents, they travel to Kansas City, they travel through Kansas City. A couple of years ago, they part of our market study, identified that we spent $127 million a year at the Kansas City airport. That's the Topeka community.
Yeah.
Bring that back. And the way we bring that back is what we're doing here.
Yeah.
Bring the air service back. As we grow that number that we're spending in Kansas City is a little smaller.
Well, and I've always
And
thought
what we do here is better.
we're trying to recruit quality employers to Topeka,
That's another one.
we have to be easily connected for business travel as well. I mean, that's a really important.
I met with a new business not too long ago. I asked if there were anything I could do for them. And this is before we made our announcement. The only thing they asked me to do, get air service here. Here we are.
Yeah.
And that means a lot to new business. That means a lot to all business.
Yeah.
But to attract new business, this will look very good.
Yep. Like I said, this is a big deal for Topeka, and we should be proud to have it in the community and use it. We can grow this, I know we can. We'll be back in a couple of minutes with your weekend events, our trip to the new Helping Hands Humane Society building, and we had to hit the Brown v. Board of Education historic site. Don't go away. Welcome back. Quick question. Who doesn't love puppies and kittens? The Helping Hands Humane Society is a gem in Topeka's crown. The community came together to give them a brand new facility, and if you haven't had a chance to check it out yet, well, you really should go. Here's a taste of what you'll see. So as you walk through the lobby, you're going to walk right in here, and you're going to see the reception desk. Bill, tell us a little bit about this area.
Well, immediately on your right and left on both sides are 2 cat colonies, and these have got cats and kittens in them in a living environment rather than in a cage or a kennel, and they get out and play and climb and just be cats, and that's been kind of fun. Our reception area, the theme inside the whole building is done on an octagon premise. Again, the second best home your pet will ever have around the octagon reception, and then we have the octagon display that leads you back around to the main dog adoption.
Absolutely. It's really a cool little area in here.
It really is.
It's quite different from your North Topeka.
Well, this lobby is almost as big as the whole shelter. Off to the immediate left, and it's part of the Octagon theme again, is our new gift shop that's been very successful, filled with just stuff to get you home with to begin, but also the now famous Helping Hands hoodie or logo t-shirt, that kind of thing.
Available for sale in the Helping Hands gift shop right around the corner right over here. And tell us what you like about here. Okay, good. What do you guys use the Education Center for?
Well, this has become a very popular room, and it's actually one of my favorite rooms in the whole building, because this is the room that we'll use to talk with the young people about their pet and animal welfare. We also are using it and set it up the other day for Leadership Topeka. Their new class got to come in, and then we gave a tour. I have many evenings where we will book tours for the Ladies Club or Rotary Lions Club, those kinds of things, and we invite them to come in. We can actually cater in. There's a small kitchenette in there if they'd like to have their meal here. We want them to be a part of this effort of education. So they can use the room as long as we're part of the program, and they can take a tour. It gives them an opportunity to kind of change their venue up and share in a shelter evening, for example.
So we got the truth about cats and dogs over here. We're in the cat condo section. Tell us a little bit about this.
Well, these are really their apartments, and it's really been nice for us because, again, behind the glass, we see they come to the front so that they can show themselves off, and that's really helped cat adoptions increase in the time that we've been here. The really cool part is their litter pan tray is behind this porthole. You and I don't have to see it, but they have easy access from inside. And they can take care of business without having to worry about it in their living quarters. If we have 2 cats that get along, we can pull the floor up from the top one and they can actually share, which just makes their apartment even bigger. The dogs need to get out of the building and come out and get some fresh air and just play. This is part of what was a little bit of a controversy, but we settled that with the neighborhood. We put a wall up so there's no sound going over there, and we've got everybody out here is always monitored. This is drain system underneath this so that we can wash and disinfect it. It is turf, so it doesn't need mowing or weeding. There are 5 individual little get acquainted areas so we can play outside with, again, a couple and see how they get along, or we can come over on the big side and we can actually play fetch and ball out here without any trouble, and it's a lot of fun to watch them get out and play.
Of course, when I got my dog, it was really cool when they wrote my dog's name right up on the board and just made me feel like he was adopted and he's ready to go home.
15, it looks like, today alone.
That's a good day.
Not bad when we still got a little time left in the day.
And that's a Monday. We do have some wonderful kennels in here. I think these are great. This is the glass that you were talking about.
This is exactly the difference that it makes, and these kids just show so well. Do you notice how quiet it is?
Yeah.
They can see out and they don't feel like they've been captured, so they're content. They're very content, just waiting to tell somebody, hey, I'm here and I could go home with you. In this room we put the life planter, Jackson's, there's your commercial. Jackson's Greenhouse comes in and changes this out for us, and we're thrilled that they are sponsoring this for us. It makes such a huge difference. But the dogs are much more content. They know that this is kind of where they need to be for now. It is warm in the winter. That out there, it was hot in the summer. We had to buy ice to keep them cool and put 20 pounds block of ice in every kennel when it got above 80, only to watch it melt and go down the drain. Well, in here we have air conditioning for the summer, and we're not ready to turn it on quite yet, but we will when it's time. The other thing we've done is the air in those cat condos is different than the air in here. The air goes up through a filtration system in here and cleans out all those airborne viruses, and then comes back as good, clean air. So these kids are healthier when they leave here.
This place does not smell like it has a room full of dogs
No,
in it.
it
Absolutely
really doesn't.
not. So this is like the pet gymnasium in here. This is really awesome. And we did mention earlier the room back in the back. That is the old pharmacy. That's about the only thing you're going to recognize about the old Dillons.
This is the training room, and today we're set up with the agility course in here. And those are a revenue source for the shelter and helping pay the light bill, et cetera, et cetera. Fun time, fun room to be in. Lots of activity always going on. We anticipate we'll start some afternoon sessions as well.
And how many dogs would be in a course?
It can vary anywhere from 8 to 10, dogs and owners. You know, it's important. We can train them very easily. The tough part's training you.
Yeah.
So in order to be successful, that's the secret behind it, is we're really only working with the dog and kind of playing with it. We're training you to make it a better pet.
Another iconic institution in Topeka is the Brown V Board of Education Historic Site. Superintendent Dave Smith is a super nice guy, and he took us around the place. Here's a bit of what we saw.
When folks come here, we like to give them an introduction to a little bit of the civil rights movement. So this is our auditorium, and we have a number of films that go constantly in there. What happened with segregation, and where African Americans have been historically in the United States.
I love how history just surrounds you in there.
Yeah.
It's very technological. And
When this park was created, Senator Dole was the sponsor for the legislation, and he was very excited about this story. And he, at the time, was a pretty big guy in the Senate. So we were able to get a lot of this really high-tech stuff that would have been very difficult to get at a lot of other parks. So this is the Legacy Gallery. This is, what happened as a result of the Brown versus Board of Education decision. So Topeka was the start of some pretty amazing things.
yeah, absolutely.
This really got the ball in motion.
Well, we love Topeka here, but it's for other reasons. It's just more reasons to love Topeka.
We can be proud of the fact that we faced a problem and we overcame that problem, and we continue to work towards a better place
Yeah,
for everyone.
absolutely.
A very inclusive place for all Americans. This is the Pass It On program, which is a wonderful video that tells the story of African Americans fighting for years and years and years to get to where we are today, and that the battle's not over, and that there's still roles for young Americans that they need to play in creating civil rights for everyone and equality for everyone. Music played a big role in change. It played a big role for slaves as they began to make their way onto the Underground Railroad. It played a big role in African American churches, and it definitely played a big role in the civil rights movement. So we have sound stations set up here that go over protest music from the time period. We're getting this redone right now. We're going to have kind of sound cones that come down from the ceiling,
Cool.
so that we can actually do it with larger groups of people, and then our educational rangers actually can do it with kids out here, and they can sit down and we can do music programs in here.
Very cool.
So our legacy today, so what's happening today? You've got, disabled Americans, fighting for the Americans with Disability Act. You've got, Native Americans, fighting for all their issues and rights too. Today I was just reading in our park newspaper about one of the tribal parks that's being created up in North Dakota. So Indian land that has been stolen or taken away, the Park Service recognizes that, and so land is going back. And this park will be operated jointly between both the Indian Nation that's there and the National Park Service.
Excellent.
So
Excellent.
change continues to go on. I think in Kansas's case, the reason why we have this weird split personality has a lot to do with how the state was created.
Mm-hmm.
It was the free state, but you had a lot of folks here that wanted it to be a slave state. You had Bleeding Kansas, and a lot of that legacy, just carries on. I'm new to Kansas. I'm new to Topeka. I've only been here for 2 years, but I hear it again and again from folks. A lot of animosity across the border with Missouri. Maybe it's mostly football and basketball, but still, there's
well, there is that.
there's a lot of this, free state, slave state thing that you still pick up on.
Yeah, it's just people not understanding each other. Is that not wanting to understand each other?
Well,
the overriding
I think
here?
Your culture and your background has a lot to do with who you are as a person. I've met people who I care deeply about, but they were brought up in an atmosphere where their parents brought them up where racism was all right.
Yeah.
It was all right to be anti-Semitic. It was all right to be homophobic, and they didn't know any better.
Yeah.
So those things are hard to break.
Yeah, they are.
So this exhibit here is intended to really put someone in the place of being a student back in the 1950s and some of the things they would have experienced. There are images from the University of Alabama, from Little Rock, footage from the busing boycotts that took place in the 60s and 70s that a lot of kids today would never see. There's language in here that they would never want to hear or never actually want to hear, but we feel it's a really important way for them to become part of what actually happened.
To see exactly what it's like. Hopefully none of this stuff will be tolerated in today's world.
I hope not.
But we're still not. We still have battles,
Yeah. So I'm really proud of our exhibits. I think our staff has done a great job putting them together. We try to keep them as current as possible.
As far as like local school children, like where are they coming from to see this exhibit, and where what are they feeling when they're here?
Well, for a lot of them, it's they can't imagine it because they come from a world that's quite different.
Yeah.
The idea that there was segregation, it doesn't make any sense because their classmates right now are from Vietnam and from Laos and from Mexico, and they're African Americans and they're Jewish and they're Catholic, and
Right.
For them it's incomprehensible that because they were brown or black they'd be in another school.
Yeah.
But they do see, well, like with bullying, they see at school that some kids are treated differently because they have disabilities, or because they act differently, or because they have an accent, or for whatever reason they're from a single parent household, or maybe their parents are gay, and so they treat the kids differently.
Right.
And then they're able to make the connections. Oh gosh, should I be treating those kids differently too, just like they were doing it here with the black kids?
Yeah.
So
it's quite a lot to say that the grown-ups have a lot to learn from their children now. And learning these lessons, and the way that the children are able to accept and exist together, and I think there's a lot to be said about that. Our education system has changed, and we've still got work to do, but we're doing pretty good now. So
I think we are.
Yeah.
So that's just a smidgen of all the greatness Topeka has to offer. Barring any more winter storms, we'll be back with some fresh content next week. I'm Chris Schultz. Until you get out there and start walking, keep talking about Topeka.